Hello, and welcome back to the Full Clark Press, the home of expert-ish analysis, lukewarm takes, and a few shots at humor, all pertaining to the NBA. We'll see if they land. I'm Alex Clark, the host and more of the show, and last time around we covered the Eastern Conference, specifically the top 3 off-seasons over there. This time around, we're moving west and talking about the top 3 off-seasons over yonder. And to kick it off, we've got the obligatory Warriors comment. Yes, they're the best team. And yes, they signed DeMarcus Cousins, who should come back mid-season, and I'm sure he's still going to be spectacular despite the Achilles injury. And yes, the death lineup, which somehow evolved into the Hamptons 5, is something now like the good luck 6. The worst case scenario is that they win a championship. The best case scenario, they really win a championship. It's like back in school, if you got an A+ and then you got an A+ next time around, the outcome, it can't get better. You already won. It's like Bill Gates getting a $5.3 million bonus. Dude's still rich. He's still rich. So are them Warriors. We get it. It was a great offseason. Boogie is ridiculous. Adding Jonas Jerebko for your bench. Another good ad. You're good. You get it. You get plenty of coverage, but you know what? Not on my oh-so-official list. But the third best offseason in the West, according to the Full Clark Press, the Dallas Mavericks. Perhaps this is influenced by my proximity as a Dallas resident. I've lived in Dallas the last 4 years, and this is the first real sense of excitement as long as I've been around. The biggest offseason acquisition had to be the Slovenian sensation Luka Doncic. They paid a protected 2019 pick to move up a couple spots to get him, and they did so because he's commonly regarded as one of the most surefire international players coming out of this draft or almost any draft. As a player, he's an excellent passer who can create his own shot and just seems to get it. He just finished up a year as a EuroLeague champ and an MVP. And Carlisle, yeah, true, maybe didn't used to play rookies all that much, but Dennis Smith Jr. just played the 7th most total minutes out of all rookies last season. And you pair Doncic with Smith, that's going to unlock their offense to do some crazy stuff. And then you throw in their biggest, as in like physically biggest acquisition, DeAndre Jordan. Finally in Dallas after all these years. And here, Carlisle gets to play with another strong, rebounding, big paint present center, kind of like what they have with Tyson Chandler. DeAndre is 30 years old, he's back in his home state of Texas, best state ever. He's getting to play with some great playmakers, all in a contract year where a lot of teams have a lot of money next season. I think he's gonna do all right. And after years of free agency whiffs and a long state of limbo, Dallas finally has a plan, and it's mostly youth. Doncic is 19 years old, Dennis Smith Jr. 20 years old, Harrison Barnes 26, about to go on a catch-and-shoot spree, and all the while, they've got Father Dirk guiding these youngsters along their paths. Should be a better season for Dallas, both in terms of watchability as well as sheer wins. Which leads us to the second best offseason in the West, the Los Angeles Clippers. Yes, the Clippers. If you ask me, Jerry West is up to something over there. 2-time exec of the year, key decision maker previously with the Warriors, the logo. He's making some smart short and long-term decisions. For starters, he closed a chapter in Clippers history. With Paul shipped out last year as well as Blake Griffin, this offseason went ahead and let DeAndre walk and also traded the coach's son, I guess, for kicks. And safe to say, it was time for something new for the team, and that really got started with the draft. They went ahead and added 2 guys who just shot 40% from deep, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, point guard out of Kentucky, as well as Jerome Robinson, the shooting guard out of Boston College. Gilgeous-Alexander, 6'6", showed plenty of scoring ability last season, and even showed some defensive chops, which I'm sure he can develop even more around that Patrick Beverley fella. And as for Robinson, he was a reach according to a lot of folks out there, but a favorite to Mr. West. Probably a good sign, we'll see. And as for re-signings, They just got Montrezl Harrell back at $6 million for 2 years, a good player who always makes the most of his playing time, as well as Avery Bradley back for $12 million next year and then a $13 million team option. Yes, he did just have a weird season between an injury, a trade, and playing for the Pistons, but the guy's got a solid floor, a really good ceiling, and a pretty favorable contract for the Clippers. They also now have depth across the board with solid, good, and really good players. Check out this rough depth chart for next season. As you can see, they've got guards galore. Beverly and Gallinari should be coming back from injuries. They added Luke Mbah-a-Moute and Mike Scott in free agency. And Tobias Harris, in my book, possible sleeper for most improved player next season. We'll see. They're accomplishing what very few teams are able to do, and that's to compete while building. They're absolutely no lock to make the playoffs next year and are probably going to finish somewhere around 9th or 10th in the crazy West. But they've got a lot of trade chips this year. They've got 2 max slots coming next year, a pretty fine market, and this one forward who has just shipped up to Toronto who's kind of interested in that LA area. If you ask me and Jerry, they should continue to trust. And that leads us to the #1 offseason in the West, not going far, going all the way to Los Angeles for the Lakers. They signed LeBron James. Some decisions were head scratchers. Julius Randle walked for nothing. They paid Kentavious Caldwell-Pope $12 million. Luol Deng is still there writing thank you notes to Mitch Kupchak on the Lakers' dime. But they signed LeBron James. The main team additions, there were some issues there. Rondo, the ambassador of assists, he has some shooting woes. Michael Beasley, no surprise there is no D in his name. Lance Stevenson can do some Lance Stevenson stuff, and JaVale McGee can do some JaVale McGee stuff, but they did sign LeBron James. They also drafted an interesting big in Mo Wagner, a stretch center who could expand the floor. And as for next season, they've got some great lineup potential for their starting 5. Maybe it's Lonzo, KCP, Ingram, James, and McGee, but you could easily put Kuzma in there, and he probably belongs in there. Same thing goes for Hart and maybe even Lance on some nights. And what's really nice about all this is that the Beat LA chant is finally gonna be meaningful and relevant again. It's been kind of awkward the last few seasons. And as for the future, they've got space in 2019 for another max guy, a big ol' reason for folks to play there, and they also still have their next 2 first-round picks in possession. I don't really think they'll be cashing those in at a draft, but probably getting some more talent around that LeBron James guy. And that sums it up, folks. We went from the Mavs to the Clippers on up to the Lakers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did I hit it? Did I miss it? Was it weird that I excluded the Spurs and the Suns? You tell me. If you like this stuff, if you found it entertaining, hit that subscribe button as I plan on putting one of these out per week. Beyond that, you can find me on Twitter @FullClarkPress. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a fine day. Later. See ya.